In today's discussion, we're going to transition from the wilderness period to the land of Canaan, also known as the Promised Land, and discuss the significance of that land to the Israelite community. Shalom and Shalom Israel. Hello Christians. What up to everyone else? Welcome to today's episode of Something to Think About. It's presented by the brothers. Today's discussion will be on the Promised Land, according to the Israelite writings. Hashtag the Promised Land. Administrative. I'm going to quickly go over some administrative details. However, if you like, you can jump over to the recap section now and continue there. Setting expectations. I plan on reading virtually everything on my slides and my notes, since some people can only listen and they cannot watch. I will be following a script. It helps me to stay on point and not get long-winded. Reminder, this is more like a classroom open discussion. No smoke and daggers here. Pause if needed. These are some of the sources we will use in today's discussion. Pause if needed. These are the remaining sources we will use today. Note, we do not claim that any source or image that we use or reference is 100. Pause if needed. Fair use disclaimer. This video is for educational and scholarly purposes only. Pause if needed. Doctrine disclaimer. This video contains our personal opinions and interpretations and is not meant to dictate doctrine. This video does not contain hate speech, nor do we condone violence of any kind. Pause if needed. Recap. What we discussed in Canaan Overview episodes 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we encourage everyone to watch the Canaan Overview videos. They cover the beginnings and foundations of this series, Christianity and the Canaan. For example, how they created a religion about 2,000 years ago. Religion is not a carryover from the Israelite writings. They created what we call a Bible and/or canon today. The canonization process was solely to promote Christianity. The process did not help the Negro or the Israelite. I believe those are the same. In their effort to create this new religion, we created a 2-part video series on the chosen people, episodes 9 and 10. In those episodes, we discussed how they define chosen and chosen people. We used the Israelite writings to define and/or describe chosen people. Demonstrated why Israel was chosen. Described Israel physically and nationally. Identified divine characteristics of Israel. Discussed how Israelites are an everlasting people by covenant. Discussed Israel's replacements as told by these church fathers: Justin Martyr, Clement, and Origen of Alexandria, Augustine of Hippo. What we discussed. In their effort to create this religion, we created a 3-part video series on the Mosaic Law, episodes 11 to 13. We discussed definitions, laws, statutes, ordinances, precepts, judgments, commandments, decrees, covenant, righteous, and righteousness. Pointed out different characteristics of the law. It was given to the Israelites, everlasting, a covenant, a sign, our righteousness, truth, and perfect. We discussed the importance of the law. The Israelites suffered and died for the Torah. Israelites obeyed the Torah while in exile, captivity, or subjugation. They decanonized or diminished much of the Old Testament and the Torah. We discussed the law of Christ, and we went over how they know what is in the Torah. They definitely know what is in the Torah, which is why they gave us, the Negro, a fake and incomplete book and had the nerve to call that a Bible, the Negro Slave Bible. What we discussed. In their effort to create this new religion, we created a 5-part video series on the tabernacle and the various temples, episodes 14 to 18. In those episodes, we discussed how they define tabernacle, temple, and worship. Perpetual aspects of the sanctuary. Example, menorah to burn continually. Holy aspects of the sanctuary. Example, burn unholy incense and die. Sanctuary is a dwelling place for the Most High. There was only one tabernacle. We went over Solomon's temple, the second temple, Herod's renovated temple, temple built by Onias IV in Egypt, and Ezekiel's temple vision. We went over the timelines of the tabernacle and the various temples. We discussed how they believe that God does not need material offerings. And we went over the new tabernacle and temple, what they consider the new tabernacle and temple, new high priest and clothes, again, what they consider new high priest and clothes, and the new worship system. We encourage everyone to watch all of our previous videos. We do our best not to go over the previous material, but instead, we only reference material in our previous videos as much or little as possible. Today, I will discuss the Promised Land. Before we get into today's discussion, it's break time again. It's all praises to the Most High break time. How we do it, I will see you in a minute.
All praise to the Most High.
All right now.
All
Sing it.
praise to the Most High.
Go ahead, brother.
All
Come on now.
praise to the Most High.
All right now.
All
All praise.
praise to the Most High.
Praise him. Come on now. Come on.
All
Go ahead. Praises. All praises. High. Praises. High. To the homeland. High.
Yahweh.
Okay, once again, I hope you like that little break we call All Praises to the Most High. I couldn't do what I do without the Most High. You couldn't do what you do without the Most High. All right, let's continue. The Promised Land. This series in general is on Christianity and the canonization process. Today's discussion is on the importance of the Promised Land according to the Israelite writings. With that in mind, here's the agenda. Who is given the land? Where is the land? Land ordained by covenant, oath, and promise. Land everlasting. Israel driven out of the land. Israel will return to the land. The reason for covering this basic material, which seems so obvious to many of us, is to get a true understanding of the particulars of the Promised Land. So when, Lord willing, we have the ability to discuss the early church fathers' views of the Promised Land, we can see how ridiculous they doctrine truly is. Okay? We're going over all these basics mainly for the next video, okay? Previously, we discussed the chosen people, the Mosaic Law, and the sanctuary. We will now discuss the transition from the wilderness period to the land of Canaan or the Promised Land. Today, we will focus on what Israelite writings have to say about that land. Artist rendition. Again, none of the images we show are 100, okay? Hashtag the Promised Land. We're going to start here. Who is given the land? Land given to Abram. Genesis 13, 14 to 15, KJV. And the Lord said to Abram, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where there are northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all of the land which thou seest, to thee I will give it. Verse 17, arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it. I will give it unto thee. Okay? Land given to Abram and his seed. Genesis 12 and 1. Now the Lord said to Abram, get thee out of thy country unto the land that I will show thee. Verse 7. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. Genesis 15 and 7. And he said unto him, unto who? Abram, to give thee this land to inherit it. Verse 18. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land. Okay, so these verses were from KJV. Okay, land given to Abram and his seed. Land promise renewed with Isaac and his seed. Genesis 26, 3 to 4, KJV. Sojourn in this land, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries. Okay, that was told to Isaac and his seed. Land promise renewed to Jacob and his seed. Genesis 28, 13 to 15, KJV. I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. Verse 15, and behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. For I will not leave thee until I've done that which I have spoken to thee of. Okay, land promise renewed to Jacob and his seed, Genesis 28:13-15. Land promise renewed to Moses and the children of Israel, the Israelites, Exodus 6:1. Then the Lord said to Moses, verse 7, and I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. Verse 8, and I will bring you into the land concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it you for an inheritance. Okay, I am the Lord. Heritage, H4181. Okay, that's the Strong's number. How the blue man defines heritage, H4181. So over here in the blue man, aka the blue letter, we see right here, Strong's H4181, and I always like to listen to how they pronounce it.
Strong's H4181, Morashah.
Okay, Morashah. I always like to look at this right here. The translation, this Hebrew word was translated 9 times in the Israelite writings. And as you can see right here, 6 times it was translated to possession, inheritance 2 times, and heritage 1 time. Outline of biblical usage. Possession, a possession, not much here. Strong's definition, the actual definition, as you can see here, it's a possession. Heritage, okay, inheritance, possession. Not a lot going on here. It really means inheritance. All right, go back over. Okay, so back here, we're going to go over summary real quick. As we saw, it was translated 9 times, 2 times inheritance, 1 time heritage, and of course possession. Outline of biblical usage, we got a possession. And in Strong's definition, we can see down here, heritage and inheritance, possession. Okay, so recall in Genesis 15:7, it also used the word inherit, which is H3423. And it reads, and he said unto him, to give thee this land to inherit. Okay, so H3423 and H4181, they're virtually identical. Okay, how they define inheritance. We're going to start using a dictionary right now. And like I mentioned in previous videos, we use dictionaries from the 1800s to 1913 because they seem more authentic. So right now we're going to go over how they define, when I mean that, I mean by dictionary, how they define inheritance. We got the reception of an estate by hereditary right. Okay, estate given or possessed by donation or divine appropriation. That which is possessed, possession, ownership, acquisition. That which is or may be inherited. That which is derived by an heir from an ancestor or other person. A heritage, a possession which passes by descent. Passes by descent. A permanent or valuable possession or blessing. A perpetual or continuing right which a man and his heirs have to an estate. A perpetual or continuing right. Okay, a permanent possession. Okay, quick summary on whose land. The land was given to Abram and his seed, Genesis 13:14-17 and 12 verses 1-7. Then passed along to Isaac and his seed, Genesis 26:3-4. Then to Jacob and his seed, Genesis 28:13-15. Then to Moses and the children of Israel. Exodus 6, 1-8. The land was given as an inheritance. Genesis 15-7, Exodus 6-8, Numbers 34-2, and I'm sure there are plenty others. Where is the land? We will use descriptions only to describe the land, not maps that may have been modified, okay? Land, location, Genesis 12:5 KJV. And Abram took Sarah his wife and Lot, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came, okay? Land of Canaan. Genesis 15:18 KJV. Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Exodus 23:31 KJV. And I will set the bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. Okay? Deuteronomy 11:24 KJV. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. Joshua 1:3-4 RSV. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, I have given to you, as I promised to Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites to the great sea, toward the going down of the sun, shall be your territory. Land location, full extent, Numbers 34, 1-15 RSV. The Lord said to Moses, command the people of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you for an inheritance, the land of Canaan in its full extent. Okay? Read verses 1-15 for complete details. I'm not going to go over that now, but go back and read Numbers 34, 1-15 according to RSV and get the full extent. Land activities. What people do in the land. Why am I going over this? Because church fathers make it seem like you do other things. Okay, so we're going to describe what you actually do in the land. Deuteronomy 6, 10-11 NLT. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. Things in the land, you got things like cities, houses, cisterns, wells. You're going to have vineyards, okay, trees. Psalm 107, 36-38 NLT. He brings the hungry to settle there and to build their cities. They sow their fields, plant their vineyards, and harvest their bumper crops. How he blesses them. They raise large families there, and their herds of livestock increase. Okay? What do you do in land? You build cities. You sow fields. You plant vineyards, okay? Bumper crops. Raise families, okay? Quick summary, land activities. Some things that people do in the land. So you build and live in cities. You got Deuteronomy 6 and 10, Psalm 107, 36, Nehemiah 9 and 25. You build and or live in houses, Deuteronomy 6, 11, Nehemiah 9, 25, Amos 5 and 11. Raise families, Psalm 107 and 38. Build cisterns and or wells, Deuteronomy 6, 11 and Nehemiah 9, 25. Plant and harvest crops, Deuteronomy 6, 11, Psalm 107, 37, Nehemiah 9 and 25, Ezekiel 28, 26, Amos 5 and 11, Micah 4 and 4. You raise livestock, Psalm 107, 38. You live in peace and safety, Ezekiel 28, 26, Micah 4 and 4. Okay, these are just some things that human beings do, okay? Human beings do all these things in a physical land. Human beings, physical land. Who occupied the land before Israel? The bad guys. Prior land occupants, Genesis 12:6 NLT. Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. At that time, the land area was inhabited by Canaanites. Genesis 15:18-21 NLT. I have given this land to your descendants all the way from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River. The land now occupied by the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. So all these nations or people groups were in the land that they were going to go take. Deuteronomy 7:1 NLT. The Hittites, Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. These 7 nations are greater and more numerous than the Israelites. Numbers 13:29 NLT. The Amalekites live in the Negev, and the Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites live in the hill country. The Canaanites live along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea and along the Jordan Valley. So as you can see, we got now the Amalekites are also in the area. Battle for the land. Numbers 33:50-52, preparing for battle. The Lord said to Moses, give the following instruction to the people of Israel. You must drive out all the people living there. You must destroy all their carved and molten images and demolish all their pagan shrines. Deuteronomy 7:2 NLT. When the Lord your God hands these nations over to you and you conquer them, you must completely destroy them. Make no treaties with them and show them no mercy. Land conquered. Joshua 10:40 NLT. So Joshua conquered the whole region, the kings and people of the hill country, the Negev, the western foothills, and the mountain slopes. He completely destroyed everyone in the land, leaving no survivors, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. And I want to point out here, Joshua, when he was alive, this happened. When he died, it wasn't quite the same. Land conquered. Joshua 11:16-19 NLT. So Joshua conquered the entire region. Joshua killed all the kings of those territories, waging war for a long time, okay? It wasn't a week or two, okay? A long time. No one in this region made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites of Gibeon. All the others were defeated. Israel fails after Joshua's death. Judges 1:19-35 NLT. Verse 19. The Lord was with the people of Judah, but they failed to drive out the people living in the plains who had iron chariots. Okay, after Joshua's death. Verse 21. The tribe of Benjamin, however, failed to drive out the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. So to this day, the Jebusites live in Jerusalem among the people of Benjamin. Can you see the potential problem? Okay. Verse 27, the tribe of Manasseh failed to drive out certain people. Verse 29, the tribe of Ephraim failed to drive out the Canaanites. Read all the verses from 19 to 35 for complete details of these failures. Battle for Canaan. Quick summary. There were several nations who occupied the land of Canaan while Israel wandered in the wilderness. Okay, the prior occupants. Occupants included the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, Jebusites, Hivites, and the Amalekites. Okay, 7 of these nations were stronger than the Israelites. The ones up here in red, for those who are just listening, that's the Hittites, Perizzites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, Jebusites, and Hivites. Okay, they were stronger than the Israelites. The Lord gave instructions to destroy their previous occupants and all of their idols and pagan shrines. Lord said, completely destroy them. Make no treaties, show no mercy. Joshua completely destroyed everyone in the land, leaving no survivors except the Hivites of Gibeon. After Joshua's death, the Israelites failed on many occasions to drive out the rest of the prior occupants. Many verses show that the Israelites lived with the previous occupants and made them slaves over time. Okay, so if you just read Judges 1:19-35, you'll see the details. Land ordained, covenant, oath, promise. Okay, land by covenant, Genesis 15:18 KJV. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Okay, he made a covenant with Abram. Land by oath, Deuteronomy 1:8 KJV. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, to give unto them and to their seed after them. Okay, right here, the Lord sware, or he made an oath. Okay, an oath. Deuteronomy 6:10 KJV. And it shall be when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee. Again, he sware unto thy fathers. He made an oath. Land by promise, Deuteronomy 19:8 KJV. And if the Lord thy God enlarge thy coast, as he has sworn unto thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he promised to give unto thy fathers. Okay, promised. Joshua 23:5 KJV. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them out of your sight, and ye shall possess their land as the Lord your God has promised you. Okay, promised. Know this, if the Lord says something, it's as good as a promise. So every time he speaks and says something, you can consider it a promise. Everlasting possession. Land given to Abraham and seed forever. Genesis 13:14-15 RSV. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. Verse 15. For all the land which you see I will give to you and to your descendants forever. Okay? Forever. Everlasting possession, Genesis 17:7-8 KJV. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant. Okay? To be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Everlasting covenant, Psalm 105:8-11 KJV. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying unto thee, will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. Okay? Inheritance. Recall, we went over the definition of inheritance, a possession which passes by descent. You can see right here, Abraham to Isaac to Jacob to Israel, the children, which passes by descent. So The land of Canaan passes from the children of Israel to the next generation of Israelite children. This is how inheritance works. Everlasting. Israel driven out of the land for disobedience. Israel driven out of the land, and we got curses here. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Verse 25, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Okay, diaspora right here. All the kingdoms, dispersion. Deuteronomy 28:36 and 37. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall send thee or lead thee. Okay? Dispersion. 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. So these are part of the curses for disobeying or not following the Torah. Israel driven out of the land, disobey. 1 Kings 9:6 and 7 NLT. But if you or your descendants abandon me and disobey the commands and decrees I have given you, verse 7, then I will uproot Israel from this land that I have given them. 2 Chronicles 7:19 and 20 NLT, saying the same things as up here in 1 Kings 9, okay? Abandon me and disobey, I will uproot the people from this land. Israel driven out of land, Gilgal. Okay, Hosea 9 and 15. The Lord says, all their wickedness began at Gilgal. I will drive them from my land because of their evil actions. Verse 17. My God will reject the people of Israel because they will not listen or obey. They will be wanderers, homeless among the nations. Okay. Recalling the video, Israelite Writings, the Tabernacle Defined, episode 14, it appears that Gilgal was the first place the tabernacle was set up after the wilderness period. Okay. It seems like the children of Israel could not wait to start sinning and rebelling again. Recall also that this was the generation right after the generation that died in the wilderness due to what? Disobedience.
That's something to think about.
Okay, keep that in mind. Israel driven out of land, scattered. 2 Ezra 2 and 1. Thus says the Lord, I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them commandments through my servants, the prophets, but they would not listen to them. Verse 7. Let them be scattered among the nations. Let their names be blotted out from the earth, because they have despised my covenant. Okay? Recall the source from the previous video, Early Church Fathers' Birth of Christianity. Okay, episode 18. It is the Eusebius Ecclesiastical History, Book 4, Chapter 6, the last siege of the Jews under Adrian.
Look it up.
Look it up. Look it up. So the time frame of this writing, Third Jewish-Roman War, approximately 135 AD, it mentions a decree to keep the children of Israel away from the land. The whole nation from that time was totally prohibited by a decree of Adrian from even entering the country about Jerusalem. They could not even behold the soil of their fathers, even at a distance. The city of the Jews was reduced to a state of abandonment for them and totally stripped of its ancient inhabitants, okay? The Israelites, and subsequently inhabited by strangers.
That's something to think about.
Okay, that's something to think about. Israel, never forsaken. Recalling a video, Israelite Writings, Chosen People, Episode 9, we discussed how the Most High will never forsake His chosen people, the Israelites. Yes, the Israelites are a stiff-necked people, hard-headed, but the Most High will never forsake His people. Let's see. Descendants never forsaken, 2 Ezra 3 and 13. And when they were committing iniquity before thee, thou did choose for thyself one of them, whose name was Abraham. Verse 15, thou did make with him an everlasting covenant, and promise him that thou would never forsake his descendants. Okay, never forsaken. Never forsake, cast away, abandon. 1 Samuel 12 and 22, KJV. For the Lord will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it has pleased the Lord to make you his people. The same verse, 1 Samuel 12, 22, RSV. For the Lord will not cast away his people. The same verse, 1 Samuel 12, 22, NLT. The Lord will not abandon his people, because that would dishonor his great name. The Most High will punish his people, but he will never forsake, cast away, or abandon his people, because that would dishonor his great name. Israel will return to the land. Return prophesied, general sense, okay? In a general sense, Deuteronomy 30, 3-5 KJV. That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out into the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. Verse 5, and the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. Okay, in a general sense, he will gather us back to the land. Baruch 2, 32-34 GNT. There in the land of your exile, you will praise me and remember me. You will stop being so stubborn and wicked, for you will remember what happened to your ancestors when they sinned against the Lord. Verse 34, then I will bring you back to the land that I solemnly promised to give to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and it will be yours again. Okay? It says right here, bring you back to the land that he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Return to the land after Babylon. Okay, this is a specific example. Jeremiah 25:11 RSV. Before Babylonian captivity foretold, this whole land shall become a ruin and a waste, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. Jeremiah 29:10 RSV. During Babylonian captivity. Okay, Jeremiah is writing a letter to the exiles. Jeremiah is currently in Jerusalem when he's writing this letter. Verse 10, for thus says the Lord, when 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will visit you, and I will fulfill to you my promise and bring you back to this place. Okay, the Israelites that were in exile in Babylon were eventually allowed back into the land to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. However, the Israelites were not the governing power over this land. Babylon was in rulership, okay? Some could argue that most of the remaining verses that I'm going to show you will be future prophecies. Why? Because it is based on who is in rulership over the land of Judea, and if the northern and southern kingdoms were in the land during these said verses. Okay? A quick internet search for a rulership timeline resulted in this rough outline. So what we have here is we have who was controlling Judea during this time frame in the middle. Okay, so we got the United Monarchy, we got the David and Solomon from pre-930 BC. And we got the Kingdom of Judah, Davidic kings, okay, from 930 to 586 BC. Then you got the Babylonian Empire from 586 to 539 BC. Okay, the Persian Empire was next from 539 to 332 BC. Then you had the Greek rule from 332 to 167 BC. That's the Ptolemaic and then the Seleucid control. Then you have the Hasmoneans for just over 100 years, independent Jewish kingdom. We'll go back to that. Roman client kings from 63 to 6, the Herodian dynasty. Okay? Roman province from 6 to 400 AD. Direct Roman Byzantine rule. So the only time after the Davidic kings right here in which one could argue that other certain prophecies or verses have been fulfilled would be the Hasmonean rulership right here. However, the northern kingdom was not present here. So when you read some of these passages, the northern kingdom, if they're not there, then some of these passages, they're not fulfilled yet because the northern needs to be there, not just the southern. Okay, let's look at several other prophecies discussing the return of Israel. If you need, you can pause here and continue the video when you're ready. I'm going to continue. Both kingdoms return to the land. Jeremiah 3:18, KJV. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance to your fathers. Okay? He's given it to both. An inheritance. Jeremiah 30:1-3, GNT. The Lord, the God of Israel, said to me, write down in the book everything I have told you, because the time is coming when I will restore my people, Israel and Judah. I will bring them back to the land that I gave their ancestors, and they will take possession of it again. I, the Lord, have spoken. Okay, so we got the north and the south coming together. Where? To the land. Okay, take possession of it again. Ezekiel 37:16-17. Both kingdoms. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Verse 17. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. Okay, down at verse 21 and 22, KJV. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. Okay, so Ezekiel 37:21-22. I'm going to bring them into their own land and make them one. Not two nations anymore, okay? In the land. Return, prophesied, and permanent. Amos 9:14-15, KJV. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. Verse 15, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of the land which I have given them. Okay? Permanent. Once we go back as a unified, it says, I will plant them in their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of the land which was given to them. Baruch 2, 34 to 35 GNT. Then I will bring you back to the land that I solemnly promised to give to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and it will be yours again. I will increase your population, and you will never again be reduced to a small number. Verse 35. I will make an everlasting covenant with you. I will be your God, and you will be my people. I will never again remove you, the people of Israel, from the land that I gave you. So when a unified Israel returns to the promised land, it appears to be permanent, according to the Israelite writings, in my opinion. Summary. Abram was sent to Canaan. Abram and seed was promised Canaan by covenant. Land oath was renewed with Isaac, this guy here, and his seed. Land oath was renewed with Jacob, this guy, and his seed. Moses crosses the river. While in the wilderness, land oath was renewed with Moses and the Israelites. Most High promises future land as an inheritance. And this desert you see back here, that's not the land. That's the wilderness. Artist rendition. Then you have the battle for the promised land. Joshua and Israel subdue the land. Artist rendition. Joshua, son of Nun. Joshua 11:19 NLT. No one in this region made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites of Gibeon. All the others were defeated. Israelite warnings. Israel was warned not to make treaties. Exodus 34:15. Israel was warned not to intermarry. Exodus 34:16, Deuteronomy 7:3. Israel told to destroy all their images and demolish all their pagan shrines. Numbers 33:52. If Israel failed these things, it was prophesied that they would commit idolatry and be quickly destroyed. Deuteronomy 7:4 and 30:17-18. If Israel failed these things, it was prophesied that they would lose the land that they were about to take. Deuteronomy 28:21, 52, and 63. Israelite failures. After Joshua died, the Israelites failed to drive out the remaining inhabitants of the land. Judges 1:19-35. The tribes of Benjamin, Manasseh, Ephraim, Zebulun, Asher, and Naphtali all failed to drive out the inhabitants of their part of their land. In addition, the Amorites forced the tribe of Dan back into the hill country. When Dan got stronger, they forced the Amorites to work as slaves. As a result of these military failures, intermarrying and idolatry, etc., Israel eventually was exiled from the land as punishment. Okay, so this is just a quick summary of what is written in the Israelite writings.
That's something to think about.
Okay, something to think about. Conclusions. The Promised Land according to the Israelite writings. Always a physical location, something tangible. It's located on earth, not somewhere way out in the third heaven. It's given to the Israelites. It's ordained by covenant, oath, and promise. Given as an inheritance. Physical land inherited by a physical people. An everlasting possession. Place to raise families, plant crops, raise livestock, build cities and houses, etc. Temporarily taken away from Israel due to transgression of the Torah. Never forsaken, cast away, or abandoned, even when they transgressed. Always prophesied to be given back to Israel. Land will be permanently given back to a unified Israel.
That's something to think about.
Okay, something to think about. These are some conclusions of this presentation. Closing thoughts. My opinions. The permission to subdue the land was given by the Most High. The permit to develop the land was given by the Most High. Besides the Most High, a spiritual being, everything else we discussed today was in the natural or the physical realm. For example, when the Most High said, "Go possess the land," he did not say, "Go pray to battle some demons in the spiritual realm." If someone teaches anything different than what is within the Israelite writings, then these verses that we presented in this presentation must be false. Or the new teaching must be false. They both can't be true. Okay? If someone, some organization teaches anything different than what was presented in this presentation based on what's in the Israelite writings, well, then Israelite writings must be false. If they're false, why do we read them? Or the new teaching is false. I believe the new teaching is false. As stated at the start of this video, the reason for covering this basic material, which seems so obvious to many of us, is to get a true understanding of what is the Promised Land. So when, Lord willing, we discuss the early church fathers' views of the Promised Land, we can see how ridiculous their doctrine truly is.
Now that's really something to think about.
Okay? Something to think about. This concludes today's discussion on the Promised Land, according to the Israelite writings. #The Promised Land. This video documented the Promised Land according to the Israelite writings. The next video, Lord willing, will discuss the teachings of the church fathers regarding the alteration of the attributes, boundary, or the location of the Promised Land. What to expect? Lord willing, we will cover these topics in upcoming videos in our series on Christianity and the Canaan. Okay? We got the stolen land, boundary line adjustment, the Apocrypha, not so silent years, Septuagint. What books were in there? Councils, synods, and church fathers. Then we got the 22, 24, 39 book Old Testament. Well, which one is it? All of these or none of these? We're going to discuss New Testament canon and canon by punishment. Research.
Remember,
Do your own research.
Remember, do your own research. The views contained in this video were our personal opinions and our interpretations of sources used and were not meant to dictate any doctrine. We recommend to everyone, do your own research. We plan to list all of our sources that we use in all of our videos. We are citing the sources and, when appropriate, providing page numbers so you can trust but verify. We encourage everyone, read as much as you can. There is a lot of historical Christian literature out there for everyone to access. Not so you can become a Christian, it's so you can learn what their religion is. And we admit that some material is hard to find. We want to thank you for watching this episode of Something to Think About. I am Brother Mitch. My brother is Brother Mike. We are the brothers. We are disciples of Yahawashi. I want to say Shalom and Shalom, Israel. Goodbye, Christians. Bye to everyone else. Till next time.
Follow the brothers.
On YouTube.
Fanbase.
X.
Hebrew Connect TV. Rumble. Or visit their website.
See also Facebook, Gab, and Truth.
The following is an HBO special featuring the brothers.
Yo, can you help the brothers out?
HBO special.
You can use PayPal.
The brothers need some digital money.
Or you can use Cash App.
Every little bit helps.
Please support their efforts.
You can even use a credit card.
And Venmo.
Why are you selling cookies?
Please help support this organization.
It's okay if you can't give. Just spread the word.
That's just as important as giving.